Hello everyone, myself Ansh and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel A New Sunrise. Hope you're well and fine. So guess what we're gonna discuss in this particular video? Yes guys, we're gonna discuss light. That is chapter number 16 of Science Class 8. I'm going to explain you the chapter and also going to give you the notes through all my slides. So let's start the chapter. This is the first part of the chapter. One more video will be uploaded soon, which will be the second part of the chapter. Now let us see what are the topics that we're gonna cover in this particular video. The first topic that we're gonna cover is what makes things visible, reflection of light, laws of reflection, then after characteristics of images formed by a plane mirror, and then regular and diffused reflection, and at last illuminated object and luminous object. And we will end up this video by revising up all the concepts through some questions. So our first topic is what makes things visible. Eyes alone cannot see objects. It is only when light from an object enters our eyes that we see the object. The light may have been emitted by the object or may have been reflected by it. A polished or a shiny surface can act as a mirror. A mirror changes the direction of the light that strikes on it. The next topic is reflection of light. The bouncing back of light after striking on a shiny surface or a polished surface is known as reflection of light. What is reflection of light? The bouncing back of light after striking on a shiny or a polished surface is known as reflection of light. Or we can also say it as the process of sending back light rays which fall on the surface of an object is called reflection of light. After striking a polished surface, the ray of light is reflected in another direction. The light ray which strikes any surface is called the incident ray. What is the definition of incident ray? The light ray which strikes any surface is called to be as incident ray. The ray that comes back from the surface after the reflection is known as the reflected ray. What is the reflected ray? The ray that comes back from the surface after reflection is known as the reflected ray. The point where incident ray hits the surface is known as the point of incidence. What is the point of incidence? The point where reflection occurs, or we can say the point where the incident ray hits the shiny or the polished surface is known as the point of incidence. So hereby we have learnt about the definition of reflection, that is the bouncing back of light after striking on a shiny or a polished surface is known as reflection. Then after we learnt about the incident ray. What is incident ray? The light ray which strikes any surface is called to be as incident ray. Then after we learnt about the reflected ray. What is reflected ray? The ray that comes back from the surface after reflection is known as reflected ray. And then after we learnt about the point of incidence, the point where reflection occurs. Now let us learn about some more terms, and that the next term is the normal. When a line is drawn perpendicular to the reflecting surface at a point of incidence, this line is known as normal. What is normal? When a line is drawn perpendicular to this reflecting surface at the point of the incidence, this line is known as normal. The normal ray is incident at 90 degrees to the reflecting surface. The normal ray is incident at 90 degrees to the reflecting surface. Now angle of incidence, or you can also say it as angle I. The angle between the normal and the incident ray is known to be as angle of incidence. What is angle of incidence? The angle between the reflected the incident ray and the normal is called to be as angle of incidence. Now the angle of reflection, this is denoted by angle R. What is angle of reflection? The angle between the normal and the reflected ray is known as angle of reflection. I repeat once more, the angle between the normal and the reflected ray is known as the angle of reflection. Now, let us proceed to our next topic, that is laws of reflection. Now, there are some laws of reflection. The laws of reflection of light are as follows. According to the first law of reflection, what is the first law of reflection is the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal lie on the same plane. What is the first law of reflection? The incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal lie on the same plane. Now what is the second law of reflection? The angle of reflection is always equal to the angle of incidence. Means angle I is always equal to the angle R. So these all were the two laws of reflection. Now let us see an image. Hereby you can see the reflected ray, the incident ray, that is the angle of incidence, the angle of reflection and the normal, which is the perpendicular line. This is the point of incidence. Now always these incident ray, this normal and the reflected ray lie on the same plane according to the first law of reflection, and the angle I and angle R are always equal according to the second law of reflection. Now let us proceed to our next topic, that is characteristics of images formed by a plane mirror. Now if we have a plane mirror and an image is formed in it, then what are its characteristics? We will learn about it. Characteristics of the image formed by a plane mirror. The image is virtual. This we have to remember, that the image is virtual. The image is erect and of the same size as the object. It is of the same size as the size of the object. The distance of the object from the plane mirror is the same as the distance of the image from the plane mirror. It is laterally inverted. What does we mean by lateral inversion? It is laterally inverted. The image is laterally inverted means that the left side of the object appear at the right side of the image and the right side of the object appear on the left side of the image. So this was the lateral inversion. So these are the characteristics of images formed by a plane mirror. The image is virtual, the image is erect and of the same size, the distance of the object from the plane mirror is the same as the distance of the image from the plane mirror, and the image is laterally inverted. So these all were the characteristics of images formed by a plane mirror. Now let us proceed to our next topic, that is regular and diffused reflection. When all the parallel rays are reflected from a rough or irregular surface are not parallel, the reflection is known as diffused or irregular reflection. The diffused reflection is not due to the failure of laws, but it is because of the irregularities in the reflecting surface. Reflection from a smooth surface like that of a mirror is called as regular reflection. What is regular reflection? Reflection from a smooth surface like that of a mirror is called to be as regular reflection. Images are formed by regular reflection rather than forming by diffused reflection. Now, these are the images of regular reflection. Here you can see regular reflection has a very plain surface. It is irregular. The reflecting surface is regular, and the diffuse reflection has an irregular surface. The reflecting surface have some irregularities. That's why the reflected rays are irregular. They are not in a particular direction. So this was about the regular reflection and the diffused reflection. Now Let us proceed to our next topic, that is difference between the regular and the diffused reflection. Regular reflection. It occurs when the surface is smooth. Regular reflection occurs when the surface is smooth. And diffused reflection occurs when the surface is a rough surface. Reflected rays move in a particular direction, whereas in the diffused reflection, reflected rays scatter in random direction. They does not move in a particular direction. Rather than moving in a particular direction, they move in random direction, in different directions. Example of a regular reflection is reflection by the plane mirror, and example of a diffused reflection is reflection by a road surface. So these all were the differences between regular and the diffused reflection. Now let us proceed to our next topic, that is illuminated objects and the luminous object. Nearly everything we see around is seen due to the reflected lights. Moon, for example, receive light from the sun and reflect it. That's how we see the moon. The objects which shine in the light of other objects are called to be as illuminated objects. What are illuminated objects? The objects which shine in the light of other objects are called to be as illuminated objects. The objects which emit their own light are known as luminous object. What is luminous object? The objects which emit their own light is known as luminous object. Example of luminous object are sun, fire, flame of a candle, and an electric lamp. Now, whatever concept we have studied in this part 1 video, we are going to revise it all through the section of revision questions. So let's start the section of revision questions. Our first revision question is define the following terms. First is angle of incidence. What is the first term? Angle of incidence. The angle between the normal and the incident ray is called to be as the angle of incidence, and the angle of incidence is always denoted by angle I. Second is the angle of reflection. What is the angle of reflection? The angle between the normal and the reflected ray is known to be as the angle of reflection, and it is denoted by angle R. Diffused reflection. Diffused reflection is also known as regular reflection when a parallel beam of incident on a rough surface. After reflection, the parallel incident ray do not remain parallel. They are scattered in different direction. Incident rays. The ray of light which fall on the mirror surface is called to be as incident ray. What is incident ray? The ray of light which falls on the mirror surface is called to be as an incident ray. Lateral inversion. In an image formed by a plane mirror, the left side of the object appears on the right side of the image. This change of sides of an object and its mirror image is called as lateral inversion. Laws of reflection. The laws of reflection of light are as follows. First law of reflection is the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal lie on the same plane. And the second law of reflection is the angle of reflection is always equal to the angle of incidence, means that angle I is always equal to the angle R. Now let us proceed to our next term, that is the reflected rays. The ray of light that comes back from the mirror surface after reflection is known as reflected ray. What is reflected ray? The ray of light that comes back from the mirror surface after reflection is known as the reflected ray. Now what is reflection? The process of bouncing back of light from a shiny or a polished surface is known as reflection of light. What is reflection? The process of bouncing back of light from a shiny or a polished surface is known as reflection of light. Regular reflection. When a beam of parallel light ray is incident on a smooth and a plane surface, the reflected rays will also be parallel. This type of reflection is known as regular reflection. Normal. When a line is drawn perpendicular to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence, this line is known as normal. What is normal? When a line is drawn perpendicular to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence, this line is known as normal. Now, our next revision question is the fill in the blanks. There are dash laws of reflection means how many laws of reflection? So there are two laws of reflection. First law is that the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal lie on the same plane, and the second law is that angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. So there are two laws of reflection. Irregular reflection is also known as diffused reflection. We have to remember that irregular reflection is also known as diffused reflection. The ray which comes back after reflection is known as dash ray. The ray which comes back after reflection is known as the reflected ray. The line which is perpendicular on the reflecting surface at the point of incidence is known as normal. Now, image formed by a plane mirror is dash and dash. So we can give two characteristics of images formed by a plane mirror. So the answer could be image formed by a plane mirror is virtual and erect. So hereby guys, we have completed the first part of the chapter light, that is class 8 science chapter number 16. In my next part or in my next video, we're gonna cover the remaining concepts which are left in light. Thanks a lot for watching my video guys. Please do like and share my video. Also subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any latest update. Yeah, if you have any feedback, if you want to give any feedback, or if you have any doubt, you can also comment. You can comment it in the comment box. Signing off for the day. Bye bye.